The message glowed on my phone screen like a targeting laser. Effective immediately, your position has been eliminated. We're moving toward a more agile, technology-focused approach. Security will clear your office today. Brandon Wells had just ended my 15-year career at Hallstrom Defense Solutions with a text message while I was lying in cardiac ICU, chest still tender from bypass surgery. I'm Mike Patterson, 52 years old, former Army captain turned defense contractor, and until that moment, Senior Director of Government Relations at Hallstrom. I'd spent the last 15 years building relationships that kept us competitive for Pentagon contracts worth $200 million annually. Late nights, cross-country flights to briefings, missed family dinners, all to secure the deals that kept our company relevant in an industry where trust is everything. And now, in this sterile hospital room with machines beeping around me, I'd been discarded like a broken rifle. For a moment, I couldn't catch my breath. Not from the surgery or the pain in my chest, but from the sheer cruelty of it. My family was in the waiting room, worried sick. My body was barely holding together, and Brandon had chosen this exact moment to cut me loose. I was about to turn the phone face down when I heard a low chuckle from the bed next to me. The guy there had been wheeled in less than an hour earlier, pale but alert, his left arm hooked to an IV. He tilted his head toward me. "Bad news?" His voice was gravelly, but carried that unmistakable tone of command authority. I turned slightly, squinting at him through the dim hospital lighting. He was older, maybe mid-50s, with gray at his temples and a face that looked both tired and sharp at the same time. I'd noticed his admission papers earlier when the nurse left them briefly at the foot of his bed. Thomas Bradley. The name had triggered something in my memory, but the pain meds had dulled my recall. "I just got fired," I said, my throat raw, "from a hospital bed." His eyebrows went up. "That takes a special kind of coward." I tilted the phone toward him so he could see the message. His eyes flicked over it once, twice, then his mouth curved into something between sympathy and recognition. "Well," he said slowly, "I thought this stay couldn't get any more interesting." The way he spoke, measured, confident, snapped something in my memory. I'd seen his photo in Defense Weekly. Colonel Tom Bradley, CEO of Bradley Defense Group, the very company that had been our fiercest competitor for a decade. His firm had been circling our client base for years, hungry to expand into the government sectors we dominated. And now here he was in the bed next to mine, watching my boss's betrayal unfold in real time. I lay back, heart monitor picking up speed, not from pain but from sudden clarity. Brandon had always been paranoid about Bradley Defense poaching our talent. He constantly reminded us that loyalty was non-negotiable. He'd accused me more than once of being too friendly with competitor executives at industry conferences. And yet, in his arrogance, he'd just handed me on a silver platter to the very man he feared most. "Looks like your company doesn't value experience," Tom said, his eyes steady on mine. "But I suspect your clients might feel differently." His words hit like a revelation. He was right. Over the past 15 years, I'd cultivated relationships with some of the most demanding military procurement officers in the Pentagon. Relationships built on shared service, proven results, and absolute reliability. Brandon thought he could simply erase me from those accounts. But he didn't understand the difference between contracts and trust. I pressed my lips together, replaying the message in my mind. A technology-focused approach. Brandon knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to brand me as obsolete, old-fashioned, replaceable. He thought firing me in a hospital bed would keep me silent, humiliated, too broken to fight back. But instead, something inside me hardened. The self-pity I'd felt moments earlier was gone. In its place, a colder, sharper determination took root. Tom was still watching me, waiting for my response. I realized then that this wasn't just a moment of loss. It was an opportunity. A door closing in one place had just opened in another, right here in the most unlikely of rooms, a shared cardiac ward. I turned the phone screen toward him again, those cruel words glowing against the sterile white walls. My voice was steady now. "Maybe it's time I stopped being loyal to the wrong people." His eyes narrowed, but there was a flicker of a smile. "Now that," he said, "is something we should talk about." At that moment, I understood. Brandon Wells hadn't just fired me. He'd set the stage for his own downfall. The next morning, the smell of disinfectant filled the room, mixing with burnt coffee from a nurse's cup. My chest ached from the surgery, but it was nothing compared to the ache in my pride. I lay there staring at ceiling tiles, replaying Brandon's text like a broken record. For 15 years, I'd bled for that company. Canceled vacations, missed Ryan's football games, even skipped Ashley's high school graduation to finalize a contract with Missile Defense Agency. And Brandon had dismissed it all with 3 sentences on a screen. Tom Bradley was awake, propped against his pillows with a notepad. He looked more like a man in a briefing room than a patient recovering from surgery. His pen moved quickly, then stopped as if he'd sensed me watching. "You didn't sleep much," he said without looking up. "Hard to, when your entire career just evaporates." He glanced at me, expression calm, analytical. "Not evaporated, redirected. Tell me something, Mike. How many contracts did you personally manage at Hallstrom?" The question caught me off guard. Directly, 12 major accounts. Indirectly, maybe 25. And how much revenue do those accounts represent? I hesitated. This was information Brandon would kill me for sharing. But Brandon had already discarded me. What loyalty did I owe him now? About $200 million annually. Tom's eyebrow arched slightly. "And they trusted you?" I thought of late-night calls with base commanders panicking over deadlines. The quiet thanks from Pentagon officials after I'd solved crises that could have cost them their careers. Trust wasn't even the right word. "They trusted me," I said firmly. Tom set his pen down and leaned back. For a long moment he studied me, weighing possibilities. "Mike, I'm going to be direct. Bradley Defense has been trying to penetrate Hallstrom's client base for years. What we lacked wasn't strategy or resources. It was someone like you. Someone who understands both the procurement process and the people behind it." He paused, letting that sink in. "If you walked through our doors tomorrow, I can promise you 2 things. Freedom from Brandon's shadow, and the authority to build something of your own." My breath caught. "Are you offering me a job? Here in a hospital bed?" He smiled faintly. "Opportunities don't wait for perfect circumstances. You know that better than anyone." My mind spun. It felt reckless, almost surreal. But deep down, I knew he was right. I'd never been a cog in Brandon's machine. I'd been the engine. Brandon will come after me. Non-compete clauses, lawsuits. Tom nodded. He'll bluster. Young executives always do. But Bradley Defense is headquartered in Virginia. Hallstrom's in Chicago. Different jurisdictions. And courts rarely enforce non-competes when someone is fired without cause. For the first time since the text, I felt hope. I imagined Brandon's face when he realized his attempt to humiliate me had opened the door for his biggest rival. "Think carefully," Tom said. "I don't want an answer out of anger, but I want you to see this moment for what it is. You have leverage. Your boss thought he was ending your career, but he may have just launched it." That afternoon, I called my wife, Linda. Her voice was strained with worry. "How are you holding up?" "I'll survive." "But Linda, something unexpected happened." "You're not going to believe who's in the bed next to me." When I told her, she was silent for a beat, then let out a low whistle. If that's not fate, I don't know what is. That night, as the ward lights dimmed, I drafted a list on discharge papers. Names, phone numbers, agencies. People who had trusted me, depended on me. Clients who wouldn't tolerate being handed off to Brandon's nephew or some inexperienced MBA. By the time I put the pen down, I realized something simple and undeniable. Brandon hadn't just fired me. He'd freed me. 3 days later, I was discharged. Tom had left the day before, but not without leaving a business card and handwritten note. "Call when you're ready. Opportunities have expiration dates." At home, I sat at the kitchen table with his card between my fingers. Part of me hesitated. Joining a competitor could burn bridges forever. Brandon would brand me disloyal. But then I thought of his text, the cold finality of it. He had already burned the bridge. That night, I dialed the number. A professional voice answered. "Bradley Defense Group. This is Carol. This is Mike Patterson. Colonel Bradley told me to call." "Of course, Mr. Patterson. Colonel Bradley is expecting you. Can you come in Thursday?" Thursday? Just 3 days after discharge. My body still felt weak, but my pride wouldn't allow delay. "Yes, I'll be there." Thursday morning, I walked into Bradley Defense Group's Virginia office. The lobby gleamed with polished granite and steel, everything radiating military precision. Carol met me at reception. "Colonel Bradley is waiting." Tom was seated in a conference room overlooking the Potomac. He rose when I entered, extending his hand like we were meeting at a regimental reunion. "Mike, I'm glad you came." I sank into the chair across from him. "I don't want to waste your time. So let's be clear. I'm not here to gossip about Hallstrom. I'm here because I know my clients. They trust me. And if Brandon thinks he can shuffle them off to someone else, he's in for a rude awakening." Tom studied me, then nodded. "Good. That's exactly what I wanted to hear." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were contract drafts, compensation figures, equity options. More generous than anything Brandon had ever offered. But what made my throat tighten wasn't the salary. It was the title, Senior Partner, Government Relations. This is more than I expected. You've been underestimated for too long, Tom said simply. I don't make that mistake. I signed that afternoon. My hand trembled as I wrote my name, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of what it meant. The following week, I made my first calls. Carefully, quietly, I reached out to 3 clients I trusted most. I didn't try to sell them anything. I simply told them the truth. Brandon had let me go, I was now with Bradley Defense, and I would still be there for them. To my surprise, none of them hesitated. If you're at Bradley, we want to be at Bradley, General Patricia Williams said bluntly. Admiral Chuck Reynolds was even more direct. That Wells kid called us last week. We ended the call early. He didn't even know our project timelines. By week's end, 2 agencies had formally requested contract discussions with Bradley Defense. The momentum had begun. Brandon must have sensed something. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with his number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mike! His voice was clipped, rushed. I hear you've been making calls. Is that true? I let the silence stretch. Brandon, you fired me. You told me I was obsolete. What did you think I'd do? Retire to a cabin? You're jeopardizing everything we built, he snapped. No, Brandon, you jeopardized it when you fired the person your clients trusted most. I'm just giving them options. His breathing grew sharp, almost panicked. This is a mistake. You'll regret this. I ended the call without replying. For the first time in years, his words didn't intimidate me. Within days, the first formal termination letter arrived. Army Material Command's legal team cited the key personnel clause and copied Bradley Defense. It wasn't emotional. It read like weather, facts, not feelings. Brandon's attorney sent a furious email threatening lawsuits. Our general counsel, Margaret O'Brien, drafted a reply that was calm and surgical. Our client was terminated without cause. He is not solicited. Clients contacted him after a lawful announcement. That's when Brandon made his fatal mistake. He showed up at Bradley Defense unannounced, demanding to see me. I was in the conference room when security called up. Sir, there's a Brandon Wells here. Says he needs to speak with Mike Patterson immediately. Tom Bradley happened to be walking by. He stopped, smiled slightly, then said, Send him up. 5 minutes later, Brandon burst through the conference room doors. His face was red, his suit wrinkled, his usual composure completely gone. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. You son of a bitch, he said, pointing at me. You think you can destroy what took years to build? Tom stepped between us, calm as granite. Mr. Wells, I presume. I'm Tom Bradley. We've never been formally introduced. Brandon barely glanced at him. Stay out of this, Bradley. This is between me and the traitor. That's when I stood up. Slowly, deliberately. The anger I'd been holding back for weeks crystallized into something cold and precise. Traitor? I said quietly. You fired me via text message while I was recovering from heart surgery. You handed my accounts to your nephew, who doesn't know a procurement cycle from a lunch menu. You accused me of being disloyal for 15 years of perfect service. And you call me a traitor? Brandon's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Here's what happened, Brandon. You got scared. Scared that someone with actual experience might make you look bad. So you eliminated the threat. But you made one crucial mistake. I walked around the table until I was facing him directly. You assumed loyalty was a one-way street. That I owed you everything and you owed me nothing. But loyalty is earned, not demanded. And the moment you sent that text, you released me from any obligation to protect you from your own incompetence. Tom Bradley stood quietly in the corner, arms folded, watching Brandon unravel. The clients aren't following me because I'm some master manipulator, I continued. They're following me because they know I understand their needs. Something you never bothered to learn in your rush to modernize everything. Brandon's voice cracked when he finally spoke. I gave you opportunities. I promoted you. I trusted you. No, I said. You used me, there's a difference. Security arrived then. Tom must have called them quietly. 2 professional, polite guards who escorted Brandon out without drama. He didn't resist. The fight had gone out of him completely. As the elevator doors closed on Brandon's shocked face, Tom turned to me. That was either very therapeutic or very dangerous. Maybe both, I admitted. Good, Tom said. Now let's get back to work. By month's end, the exodus was in full swing. Naval Air Systems terminated their contract. 2 more agencies followed within days. Each departure was professional, citing the key personnel clause Brandon had been so proud of including in contracts. I received a call from Jennifer Murphy, Hallstrom's senior project manager. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Mike, I shouldn't be telling you this, but Brandon's lost it. He's been screaming at everyone. The board called an emergency meeting. They're talking about removing him. I felt no satisfaction hearing this, just a kind of hollow completion. Be careful, Jen. Document everything. I am. And Mike, thank you for showing us it's possible to stand up to bullies. 2 weeks later, the news broke. Brandon Wells had been removed as CEO of Hallstrom Defense Solutions. The board cited loss of confidence in leadership and failure to maintain critical client relationships. Kyle, his nephew, resigned the same day. Hallstrom's stock price dropped 30% in a single trading session. 1 year later, I stood backstage at the Defense Industry Summit in Washington, adjusting my tie and reviewing my notes. The conference organizers had asked me to deliver the keynote address on leadership through trust in government contracting. Senior partner Mike Patterson of Bradley Defense Group, they'd introduced me as, through the curtain I could see the packed auditorium. 800 defense contractors, Pentagon officials, and industry analysts. The same crowd that used to see me as Brandon Wells' subordinate now waited to hear what I had to say. Tom Bradley appeared beside me, straightening his own tie. Nervous? Should I be? He smiled. You've been preparing for this speech your entire career. You just didn't know it. The conference host introduced me with a list of accomplishments that still felt surreal. Bradley Defense Group had grown 400% in the past year. We'd secured 12 major Pentagon contracts, including the largest logistics support agreement in Army history. We'd opened offices in Colorado, Texas, and North Carolina. I walked onto the stage to sustained applause. The lights were bright, but I could make out faces in the crowd. General Williams in the third row, nodding approvingly. Admiral Reynolds near the back, arms folded but smiling. Colleagues from a dozen agencies I'd worked with over the years. And there, in the very last row, half hidden behind a pillar, sat Brandon Wells. He looked smaller somehow, thinner. The expensive suit couldn't hide the fact that he'd aged badly in the past year. I'd heard through industry channels that he'd been blacklisted from 3 major firms. Word spreads fast in the defense community when you lose $200 million in contracts in a single quarter. I began my speech the way I'd practiced, talking about the importance of relationships in government contracting. But as I looked out at that audience, I realized I had something more important to say. 18 months ago, I said, I was lying in a hospital bed recovering from heart surgery when I received a text message that changed my life. My employer had decided I was no longer valuable. Too old-fashioned, apparently. Not technology-focused enough. A murmur went through the crowd. This wasn't the corporate speak they'd expected. That message taught me something crucial about loyalty. Real loyalty isn't demanded, it's earned. It's not a one-way street where employees owe everything and receive nothing in return. It's a partnership built on mutual respect and shared values. I could see Brandon shifting uncomfortably in his seat. The clients who followed me to Bradley Defense didn't do it out of personal friendship. They did it because they knew I understood their missions. Because they trusted that when they called at midnight with a crisis, I'd answer. Because they knew I'd rather lose a contract than compromise their operational security. The applause was building now, not polite conference clapping, but genuine appreciation. Leadership isn't about controlling people through fear or replacing experience with buzzwords. It's about earning trust through competence, consistency, and character. When you have that trust, contracts follow. When you don't, even the best technology in the world won't save you. I looked directly at Brandon for a moment. His face was pale, expressionless. So my message to all of you, whether you're clients or contractors, generals or analysts, is this: invest in relationships built on real value. Surround yourself with people who understand that excellence isn't just about profit margins or quarterly reports. It's about mission success and the lives that depend on getting things right. The standing ovation started in the front rows and spread backward like a wave. It lasted nearly 2 minutes. As people filed out afterward, a steady stream approached the stage. General Williams shook my hand and said, "That needed to be said." Admiral Reynolds clapped me on the shoulder. "Bradley's lucky to have you." But the conversation that mattered most came from a young Army lieutenant colonel named Sarah Chen. "Sir," she said, "I heard what happened to you last year. I'm dealing with something similar. A boss who doesn't value experience, who thinks everything can be solved with software and consulting fees. Your speech gave me courage to document everything and take it to my chain of command." "Good," I told her. "Don't let anyone convince you that standing up for what's right is disloyalty. Real loyalty flows both ways." As the auditorium emptied, I noticed Brandon was gone. He'd slipped out during the applause, I assumed. I felt no satisfaction in his departure, just a sense of completion. Tom found me gathering my notes. "How does it feel?" I thought about it as we walked toward the exit. Different than I expected. A year ago, I wanted Brandon to pay for what he did. But now I just feel free. Free from what? From caring what small people think. from giving loyalty to those who don't deserve it, from letting someone else define my worth. That evening, Linda and I had dinner at a quiet restaurant overlooking the Potomac. She raised her glass of wine. "To new beginnings," she said. "To old values," I replied. 6 months later, I received a message from Jennifer Murphy. She'd left Hallstrom and joined a startup focusing on ethical government contracting. Her note was brief. "Thank you for showing us what integrity looks like." I never heard from Brandon Wells again. Industry reports said he'd moved to Silicon Valley, trying to break into tech consulting. Whether he learned anything from our confrontation, I'll never know. But I learned something valuable. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better. Today, Bradley Defense Group employs over 300 people. We've mentored dozens of young veterans transitioning to civilian careers. We've maintained perfect security ratings and zero contract disputes. Most importantly, we've proven that in an industry built on trust, character still matters more than clever marketing. When people ask me about that text message in the hospital bed, I tell them it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because it felt good, it didn't, but because it forced me to discover what I was really worth. And that, I learned, was something no one could fire me from.